So I'm filming this particular raw session a little bit early. I'm doing it at the beginning of the day, kind of the middle of the day, I guess, not at the end of the day. But I feel like that's okay. I just went out there, I did a 9.5 mile run. So I feel like I'm tired enough not to completely and utterly lose my mind as I talk about things. And that's the important thing for me. That's the important thing, right? Being able to discuss these topics in a reasonable manner without going "Rah!" for like just 40 minutes. 40 minutes me going "Rah!" Anyways, but yeah, did 9.5 miles. Still losing the weight. I was hoping to be below 180 this week. 179s. That was my goal. Got to 181.7 today. That's my weigh-in for today. So I'm down. I'm down a little bit, a teeny tiny little bit since last week. But anyways, any amount down is a win. There's the good wins, and then there's the win-wins, and sometimes you just got to accept the win-wins. So yeah, 181.7. And no, I suppose it is not easy. Eli, it's not that easy. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta not shove food in your gullet and do a reasonable amount of exercise. I mean, if you find that to be an impossible task, whew, life is gonna be difficult for you. Life is gonna be difficult for you. Anyways, how you all doing? Again, the thing that I care about is Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. Working on the SQLite series right now. We're currently in process of that. I've finished 17 steps of it. So I got 17 videos of this done. I think we have 5 or 6 more to go. So hopefully SQLite will be done by next week. Again, if you go to silicondojo.com, you can see a question and answer session. That's going to be later today. This is on Friday. So I'm recording this on Friday. You're probably watching it on Saturday. So later today, my time. Anyways, this will be later today. These are the old sessions we have. These are self-study programs that are currently done. We have Python and we have Bottle Web App Framework, and we have coaching sessions, 30 minutes. I do those 1 to 5 p.m. on Mondays. You get 30 minutes to discuss, your tech career. To discuss what happens when the paradigm shifts after about 15 years. Do you realize millennials are no longer young? You know, we talk about millennials nowadays. Millennials are in their 40s. The old millennials are in their 40s. And they have had a bull market for a long time. If they're in the right place, especially in the tech world, they had a bull market since 2009. 16 years. And if they went to college before that, so the Great Recession may not have affected them as much, they may have had 20 years of believing this is what the economy is like. This is just how the economy operates. And it's like, no, no, no. You've just had a number of years of the people in charge basically losing their minds. So anyways, we can talk about that. Where to position yourself in this world. Spoiler alert, solve problems. Solve problems. Anywho, what I want to talk about today is Trump's chaos that he's creating, and probably how this will affect your career prospects. Because this is a bit of a crap show. Again, it's not that things shouldn't change. Some things shouldn't change. It's just Trump is going in, and he's just breaking everything. He's breaking everything. And again, and I've heard from Trump's people that they're basically supremacists, or they have the idea that America is superior, ergo damn near anything that they do is going to work out fine at the end of the day. Again, that we should always have the largest economy, that we should always have the largest military, which doesn't make sense. Again, India has over 1 billion people. China has over 1 billion people. If Europe actually ever creates a closer union, again, I don't know what the fuck's going on with Europe. I can't even be snarky with Europe anymore because I just don't understand. What are you people doing? Anyways, I don't know. If Europe ever starts to do something sensible, they'll have twice as many people as we do too. So it just doesn't fundamentally make sense that we will, quote unquote, always have the largest economy and the largest military, even beyond the whole always thing. Because even after 1,000 years, things fail. But even when we don't go to that extreme, just the fact of the matter is, if you look around us, there will be larger economies and there will be larger militaries. That's just, I don't know, that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? But anyways, there's this idea that we are superior. Ergo, Trump can do whatever the fuck Trump is doing, and everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Isn't that great? You know, as a technology professional, that's what I love. I love an engineer that comes into the infrastructure and basically feels that the infrastructure is built so well, regardless of what they do, everything will keep humming along. It's like, no, get that motherfucker out of the server room now. Get him out of the server room. You want to know why it's humming along? Because you don't do that. Anyways, so again, I've been talking about this, again, the whole chaos, the insanity. Tariffs here, not tariffs there, maybe not tariffs there. Again, I talked about that with Colombia. All right, so Colombia didn't want to take the illegal immigrants back. And so Trump was like, okay, there's going to be a 25% tariff on everything coming in from Colombia. And the media was like, well, this isn't any big deal. Trade with Colombia is small. It's only like 14 or 15 billion dollars a year. And yes, as far as the economy goes, as far as 330 million people go, yeah, $14 billion per year is not much, right? Here's the thing. There are probably businesses that focus on trade with Colombia, and what doesn't seem that important to me is their entire world, right? And all of a sudden, imagine this as a business owner, all of a sudden, the cost of the goods that you're purchasing, the cost of your inputs are going to increase by 25% overnight. Why? Because the president is having a fucking hissy fit, right? And again, we saw that with Canada, and we saw that with Mexico. All of a sudden, Trump's tariffs are going to be there, right? And then all of a sudden, tariffs go away for a month, for 1 month. They don't go away forever. They only go away for a month. And again, as I've talked about this with businesses, again, whatever the policy is, they need to know what the hell is going on, right? If you're going to increase tariffs, right? So you're going to say, we need to produce more of these goods in the United States. These companies need more time to spin up facilities in order to build crap in the United States. Again, you know how hard it is to spin up a server room. Can you imagine what it is to spin up a factory? And then figure out how all that kind of crap works? And so 1 minute, they're doing what they're doing. And then the next minute, there's going to be tariffs. So they're supposed to spin up stuff here. And the next minute, there's not going to be tariffs. And the problem is, again, this leads to insanity. Again, when you are running a business, the shortest contract you're going to sign is going to be a 1-year contract. And you don't get many of those in life. Like a lot of the leases and things, these are going to be for years and years and years. Not only that, but things to be thinking about. If you hire employees, there's something called unemployment insurance that you have to pay. Now, the thing is, unemployment insurance is variable, right? It changes essentially based off of how often you lay off people, right? So in the construction industry, your unemployment insurance might be 11% of their income. Right? Because you're going to lay them off like once a year, right? You work them in the summer, they get laid off in the winter. Unemployment knows that the insurance knows they're going to have to pay them. On the other hand, if you hire secretaries or whatever, computer people, and you almost never lay anybody off, your unemployment insurance might be pretty low, something like 3%, because unemployment insurance almost never has to pay out because you don't lay people off. So one of the things too, like these businesses have to think about is if they hire people on based off of what they think the world looks like, and then they have to lay them off all of a sudden, all those layoffs get tacked onto their risk threshold or whatever by the unemployment insurance department. And therefore, literally, the unemployment insurance for all of their employees may literally tick up. And these are all the kinds of weird fucking costs nobody ever talks about that, again, business people really do have to be considering. Again, do you build warehouses? Do you hire people? Do you sign leases? Do you sign these contracts? What do you think the world is going to look like? So even when you know what the world is going to look like, the fact of the matter, it may change. The fact of the matter, one, you may just be wrong. Business leaders are wrong sometimes. Or COVID comes along, or World War III comes along, or any number of things come along, right? You can think you understand how the world works, and then something can truly come out of left field. But the issue now is not only do they have to worry about they could be wrong, and not only do they have to worry about maybe some black swan event is going to happen, but then, again, if Trump gets a little sand in his vagina, he's going to start fucking crying and, bawling like a little bitch. And all of a sudden, we have no idea what the playing field is going to look like for any of us. And again, and you start looking at this on top of killing USAID, you look at this on top of going after all these federal agencies. Again, they're talking about massive amounts of layoffs, tens of thousands of federal employees being laid off. Now, again, whether you like it or not, these are well-paid employees that have full benefits that thought they had very secure jobs. Tens of thousands of those people are now being released from their jobs, and they've got mortgages, and they've got car payments, and they go out for beer and restaurants and all that kind of stuff, and they're just being fucking released. And again, Trump doesn't give a shit, right? Fuck them. Again, you have this whole thing going on with the federal office buildings where he's talking about putting so many of these federal office buildings back onto the market. And again, the thing is, not actually against that, but putting them onto the market all at one go while everything else is occurring. Again, like these are massive shocks to the economy. And the question is just how stable are our foundations? Again, God bless America. I am American to the fucking bone. It doesn't mean I don't see the cracks in our foundations, right? You can be a patriot that's like, I'm concerned about these cracks in the foundations here. But again, if you feel that we are superior, if you feel that we are supreme, then no matter how many shocks there are, everything's going to be fine at the end of the day, right? So anyways, this is interesting, coming from NBC News and other people. Ford CEO says Trump's tariffs are causing chaos in the auto industry. The company is the number one auto producer in the U.S. with the most vehicles domestically assembled as well as exported to other countries. And so this is interesting because this is the number one auto manufacturer in the United States. The ones that I do believe, the type of company that I do believe that Trump is supposed to be protecting, and they're like, you're causing chaos, jackass. Anyways, Presidents Donald Trump's tariffs, both implemented and threatened, are causing chaos for the U.S. automotive industry, according to Ford Motor CEO Jim Farley. The chief executive of America's second largest automaker described 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum, as well as threatened levies on the same amount on Mexico and Canada, as currently adding, quote, a lot of cost and a lot of chaos to the industry. Quote, President Trump has talked a lot about making our U.S. auto industry stronger, bringing more production here, more innovation in the U.S., and if his administration can achieve that, it would be one of the most signature accomplishments, Farley said Tuesday. So far, what we're seeing is a lot of cost and a lot of chaos. Farley, an incoming Ford CFO, said a majority of the company's steel and aluminum are domestically sourced. However, there are suppliers of the automaker that source such materials from outside the country, which could have an impact on costs. House said the biggest concern for the company is all of these actions that appear relatively minimal, including on suppliers combining to negatively impact the automaker's business. Quote, we'll have to deal with it. That's what I'm talking about, cost of chaos, a little here, a little there. This is what we're dealing with right now, Farley said. Farley seemed most concerned about potential duties on goods from Mexico and the U.S., saying a long-term 25% tariff that could go into effect as soon as March 1 would be, quote, devastating and blow a hole in the U.S. industry that we've never seen. Last week, Farley also said if Trump administration is going to implement tariffs affecting the automotive industry, it should take, quote, a comprehensive look at all countries. Farley singled out Toyota Motor and Hyundai Motor for importing hundreds of thousands of vehicles annually from Japan and South Korea, respectively, that have little to no duties compared with the 25% tariffs Trump plans to impose on Canada and Mexico. So yeah, that I think is a bit of an interesting thing. The Ford CEO come out again, the CEO of the type of company that Trump is supposed to be, you know, whatever, fighting for, and basically saying that this is causing insanity and chaos. Because again, with a lot of these manufacturers, they have a tremendous number of suppliers. Again, since NAFTA was ratified back in the 1990s, whether you like NAFTA or whether you hate NAFTA, this was supposed to be, the big push forward. This was going to unify, United States, Mexico, and Canada into a more coherent economic bloc. And basically, these factories and these manufacturers were told this is the system that we have. Again, was it the USMCA that, who passed the USMCA? So that was the improvement over NAFTA. What president? What president signed that? I do believe it was Trump. So again, some changes basically in the NAFTA thing. More parts actually had to be created here in North America, and that got pushed through. And so again, these supply chains. Again, there's this concept called just-in-time inventory, and the thought there is instead of having big warehouses that you have to pay for, instead of having a lot of parts and supplies that not only do you have to pay for, but you have to pay taxes on. Again, interesting thing. Hey, what if we do just-in-time inventory? As we need components, we order them, they get delivered to us very quickly, and therefore we don't have to have extra warehouses and all of that kind of stuff. Again, it is an architecture style for the manufacturing industry. There are reasons to do it, and there's reasons not to do it. They've been designing their systems based off of the world as it existed, January 19th. And now all of a sudden, Trump is changing things. And he's like, we're going to put these 25% tariffs on, and this should all be made in the United States, and this and that and the other. And the issue is, even if people agree with him, even if they're like, sir, yes, sir, you are the smartest. You are the smartest. The problem is this shit takes time. It takes time. And there is no time. There is no time. This is not we are going to start increasing tariffs by 1% per month over the next 2 years. Hey Ford, you Ford and suppliers, you have 2 years until full 25% tariffs come into effect. This is going to be a stepped process to get to that point. No, just overnight, it's going to be 25% taxes. And again, this is going to be taxes upon the American people, right? And that's going to push up inflation. Again, that's the weirdest thing. Like so last month, inflation actually ticked up. Inflation was like a little over 3%. They thought it was going to be 2.9%. It's actually above 3%. Now, here's the thing: is that Trump's problem? I don't know. He was there for a third of the month, maybe his. I'll say maybe it's Biden's problem. Maybe the inflation going up is Biden's problem. But here's the issue though, is as we start moving forward and as we start having more and more tariffs and as Trump makes it more and more difficult for businesses to do business. And we already have an inflationary environment. How is this going to keep inflation down? Again, I don't see more houses getting built. I don't see more houses getting built, right? I don't see more supply coming online to push down prices. What I see is more and more taxes. And again, with these tariffs, right, it comes down to what is the profit margin for the company. If a company buys a product for $10 and sells it for $100, right, a 25% tariff is $2.50. So they're now going to pay $12.50, and so most likely the cost is not going to be pushed onto you. On the other hand, if they buy a product for $90 and they sell it for $100, well, 25% tariff on that is basically about $25. So now their cost is $115. So regardless, just for them to keep, the cost, their profit margin, they're going to have to push that to $125 now for that particular product. And so then that's where you start looking at is how will these tariffs then start affecting the inflation rate for these different products that we purchase? And do we fully understand how all of that is going to flesh out at the end of the day? And I don't think a lot of us really do. Because again, it's just boom. It's just boom. It's not 1% a month. It's not 1% a month. It's all of a sudden you made him cry. So he's going to punish you by punishing Americans. Because remember, it's America first. Remember America first. Why are we taking over Gaza and going to be building housing for 2 million Palestinians? Because America first. Why are Americans going to be buried under tariff taxes? America first. Why is all this insanity happening? America first. So, anyways, there you go. Be curious to see. Curious to see how this all fleshes out. Because, yeah, with the aluminum, with the steel, again, the interesting thing, again, with that aluminum steel, and again, with manufacturing, right? What are inputs? You have a lot of, and that's what people have been talking about. You have a lot of U.S. manufacturing that happens to use imported aluminum and steel. So Trump is going to damage the companies, the American manufacturing companies that use imported aluminum and steel because he's prioritizing aluminum and steel over those companies. So anyways, we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna sit here, keep puttering along, keep pushing my ball down the road. Don't worry, boys and girls. Again, I'm almost 50. I've been through the boom years. I've been through the recessions. Survived the Great Recession. Survived some of these other ones. Things come and things go. The important thing is just to keep, like, that's the thing, like with all this, like when the disaster happens, when Trump pushes us into a full-fledged depression, which I do think is a real possibility. Again, the thing to realize is that the depression ends. Again, these periods of time, we always look back at these periods of time, and again, like the Great Recession or even COVID, right? And somehow in our minds, it gets shrunk down to something. But it's years and years and years this crap goes on, right? But one of the things to think about is that it will be over. It will be over at some point. And so for yourself, what you have to consider, are you going to sit there and wallow in misery and depression for however long this process takes to go through? So that when you come out the other side, you are fundamentally worse and worth less, right? You let your skills atrophy, you let your body atrophy, you let your personality atrophy. Again, you go through a couple of years, and why should I? Why should I learn something? What's in it for me? Why should I be nice to people? What's in it for me? Why should I make the world a better place? Don't you see how much I've been screwed over? Why should I help anybody else? The problem is again, when the stuff works through the system, that's going to be who you're going to be on the other side. And when the economy does get better, and when people do start hiring, and there are opportunities, are you going to have set yourself up so that you can take advantage of those opportunities? Again, the interesting thing about luck, right? Luck is a weird thing. Like you will have lucky opportunities. You have lucky opportunities. But the thing is, I would bet you probably have a lucky opportunity about once a week. About once a week, something crosses your table that is just a fucking amazing opportunity. The question is do you have the ability and resources to take advantage of that opportunity? Right? Imagine the next Facebook. Imagine if you met the founder of the next Facebook. And let's say you actually believed. Let's say you actually believed. Right? You're like, wow, I met the next Mark Zuckerberg. And you know what? The next Mark Zuckerberg actually likes you. Actually fucking likes you. And really would like you on the team. Now here's the thing. If the next Mark Zuckerberg took a shine to you, and you honestly believed it was the next Facebook, do you have the skills that would be of any value? Have you learned Python, SQLite, NoSQL, Node.js, for Christ's sakes? Right? Have you been spending your time when you haven't had a job upskilling so that when the next Mark Zuckerberg and you meet and have a beer, you're like, wow, that's amazing. I've been working on these projects and I really think with the experience that I've gained, I can create an MVP for you and we can really do something amazing. Right? If you met the next Mark Zuckerberg, if you met a 19-year-old snot-nosed brat who had the idea for the next Facebook, would you be like, damn, hey, if you want to work together, I think I can create the MVP, right? What would your response be if you had that opportunity? Would your response be to be like, wow, I see how I can help you turn that into a reality? Or would your response be like, wow, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I don't, I, there's, I have no value to you though. Things to ponder. Things to ponder. Anyways, with that, I will go. Question and answer session, 2 o'clock on Friday, my timeline, which probably to you was about 30 hours ago. See y'all later.